Welcome to the second session of Political Headache Town Halls. Here, we are seeking to amplify the voices of the people. We are not seeking to control a narrative, but to see how best we can make sure your voices are heard. Of course, we are non-partisan completely. We are a team of people who have the same intention, professionals who are removing the money from their pockets, and people who are just desiring to at least participate in their civic duty of enhancing our governance systems. With me, we are having, of course, your nominee, Joachim, who has said that he's contesting 2027. He will tell us when. We're having, of course, Bright Shitemi, who is a member or the Secretary General of the, is it Secretary General? Vice Chair of DNA. And then we have, of course, Whitney, Pan-Africanist, a very strong woman, a beautiful woman for that matter, always flying. We are proud to have you for this session. This session is going to be very, very simple. I'm not going to ask any question. I will only amplify the voices which have not been heard. It's about them. They will shoot questions on 3 lines. Line 1 is on the question of tribe. So 1, I'll give you the chance, 1 minute each, to give your opening statements regarding either of those issues. That is, the issue of tribe, the issue of communication in government, and the issue of state institutions. So you can choose any of them. Then we'll take it direct to them because I've already asked them to prepare their questions so that they shoot. They shoot a question, you answer. Because this is a conversation and nothing else. So maybe to begin with you, Whitney, because Joachim has been speaking a lot. Just give us your opening statement, 1 minute, then Shitemi, then we come to you, Joachim.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll greet you again. Salam alaikum. Nice to have you here. The issue of tribe, you know, I believe in nationalism. I'm a Pan-Africanist. So if I'm fighting for a united Africa, that means I wouldn't be a tribal person. So I'm fighting for nationalism, for people to recognize that we are all Africans and all the challenges that are facing us as a people, as a community, as a country. Same problems with our neighbors. So if you're fighting for anything, we need to fight as a community, not as a tribe. So I'm a nationalist. I believe we can achieve much as a people that are united, as opposed to if we are divided into clans, into tribal clans and all these things. And when we talk about, first of all, this issue of accountability and policies in the country, like I've always said, it's always good, it's never good to assume that our leaders know what they're doing. You know, the fact that somebody's a cabinet minister does not mean they even know what they're supposed to do in that docket. And that is where policy comes in. If you look at what we do as a movement, where we shape policies for different African states and African ministers and African parliaments and conversations we are having, I'm sure none of us are even concerned about the debt register. I've heard someone like Senator Okiya Omtata always preaching about the debt register. Is our debt register updated? And the borrowings that we are having, that we are borrowing for recurrent expenditure, when we are supposed to be concerned about development, when is Africa going to develop? When are we going to be concerned about industrialization? Because we're talking about youth unemployment, but what are the policies we are giving government, or how are we advising government on how to achieve this? We are killing our industries in the country because of the bottlenecks of investments. Most of the investors are leaving the country, and even the ordinary Kenyan cannot afford to invest in the country for us to be able to employ as many youth as possible. So if we are killing industrialization, if you're not concerned about the policies in the country, if our cabinet, because they say a king must surround himself with philosophers. Well, President Ruto can be a king, but who is he surrounding himself with? Who is the cabinet? Are they aware of their roles? Are they aware of the policies they're supposed to initiate and put in place? That is where we're coming, and that is where communication becomes a problem, because what do you communicate? You cannot communicate what you do not know. That's why we can have a sensible issue in the country, and then you listen to a leader speak about the issue, and you are concerned. Is this leader even aware of what they're supposed to do as a cabinet, or as a senator, or as a member of parliament? So I think even communication is important, but what you communicate is important, and your ignorance as a leader to the common wananchi, that is what brings all the uproar at the end of the day, because we're concerned to know if our leaders actually know what they're supposed to do for the country.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Karibu, Bright.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm picking my coffee kwa hiyo kitu mzuri jamani, surely. Good. Bright.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. My name is Bright Shitemi. I'm the DNA Party Vice Chair. I'll speak on institutions. It's when institutions fail, countries fail. And I think Kenya is suffering from a problem of lack of systems in our institutions. That you have a parliament that has a mandate that is not working as we desired. That you have county governments, that you have an executive, that you have a police service that still functions as a police force. So it is important. I've had the privilege of traveling, and I look at certain countries like Belgium, and when you go to that country, you find that systems work. And the reason they work is because of institutions. It's a country that has two major tribes, the Flamand, or we call them Dutch, and the French. They always have political disagreements. They've stayed even at some point 1 year without a prime minister, without a government, and institutions run and systems run. And I think that's what we want to aim at as a country, that we need to have institutions that work and serve the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Makofi. Makofi. Thank you. Joachim.
Let me begin from tribalism. It has been a currency on which so many politicians have rode, and they have maintained to be in power. You know, there is this fallacy that when some kingpin you share an ancestry with is in government, then your whole community is in government. And it's not a new phenomenon. Actually, even pre-independence, Mzungu alikuwa amemapu hii nchi vizuri, and he knew segmented communities, even appointment to Legico. They looked around, saw Tom Mboya to represent a community, Masinde Muliro represent this one. Even forming of the party, KANU at independence, it had bigwigs from every community. And the issue of tribalism, we have had blame games in the country that a particular community is guilty of more crimes than the other one. But I have come to think of it and say, if it's true that this particular community has been taking advantage of other communities, then it's the duty of these communities that are being taken advantage of to deal with what they are being taken advantage of. If I take advantage of your illiteracy, you don't start complaining. You go to school so that you take away what I'm taking advantage of on you. And so, this has been a big problem. And the community that has suffered a lot is the Kikuyu community. They have amassed a lot of wealth for themselves. They allocate a lot of money. They have better roads. But it's Parliament that allocates resources, right? And Parliament has every tribe. So if a constituency in Mount Kenya has better roads, then resources must have come from Parliament. And a constituency from Western Kenya has no roads. Then what is the member of the Parliament doing? So this tribalism that we have been having, there was a time I said it on Political Headache. I believe that Kikuyus are very bad people. And I actually...
You believed or you believe?
I believed.
Okay.
That Kikuyus are very bad people. They love themselves. They only want things for themselves. They don't want anything to go the other side. And I was wondering. The other day I was wondering, like in a parliament, the members of parliament who know how to speak about issues are members of parliament from Western and Nyanza. Mbona kwa kugawa resources wanasema wamenyang'anywa? If they are the most eloquent one, if you want to discuss maritime law, tafuta Opondo Kaluma. If you want to discuss the difference between You know, we have the best debaters. How comes that we cannot translate that to impacting our communities? And this tribalism has been used to maintain their club that so-and-so is not fit to be what they want to be because they come from this particular tribe. We take away all the credentials they have and focus on Adrian as a Luo. Yes, he is. I say, how are Jaluo? How are? So I forget you are a law student. You see? And that has been a problem. In terms of communication, as I finish, from the word go, this government have suffered from communication mishaps. You remember when people went and took those exotic sheep from Uhuru's farm? The minister who handled that issue was Eliud Owalo, Minister for ICT. So nikashanga, is it because of the cameras that captured that incident? Or why is the Minister for ICT talking about an issue that is a security breach? Kindiki was the minister then. He did not appear. The other day, the seal of government. Mwaura says, no. The seal of government is with the Attorney General or the public service. Tomorrow he says something else. The president says today, shoot the leg. The minister says, no, shoot to kill. So this communication is bringing problems.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joachim. Let's go straight to the audience. This is your time to fire your question. I saw there were so many hands here, so we'll start with you. Have the mic. Let me pick the first three. Number two. Number three. Okay, number three. Let's start with that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Okeo Rose Atieno. I'm a student from Rongo University, a political science and public administration student, transiting to fourth year next academic year. I have a question on tribalism. Do you think that some of the policies, or rather acts of parliament that have been enacted, fuel tribalism? When I say this, I mean the 2015 Duale Bill, the Student Leadership Duale Bill. I feel like this is a bill that has actually fueled tribalism in campus politics. And as they say, when it comes to campus, it's actually the nursery of national politics. So do you think that bill has actually fueled tribalism? Thank you.
You want me to respond to that? I'm not so well conversant with the Duale Bill. Could you elaborate a little bit further so that I don't speak about something I'm not sure of? Or the audience can...
The audience can
See me, let me clarify. It is not particularly
Yes.
the Duale Bill.
Yes.
It was an amendment that was proposed to the Universities Act.
Yes.
So the Universities Act, I don't know if it's 25 or 43, we used to have popular election, just like we have at the national election. So the amendment that was proposed by Honorable Duale was to introduce a delegation system. I don't know if you have come across it. So the delegation system proposed that there will be 7 heads, like the president, vice president, but they will not be elected by the students. They will be elected by
The
delegations from each faculty.
Okay.
So now that brings a problem of forming coalitions. So people start from the bottom, the community coalitions that we have, not community coalitions, but the associations that we have in school, whereby they now pick one person to be representing them. So it fueled the issue of tribalism now in campus. It has been used for the past 6 years, I guess, since Duale's inception of that bill. That is what she's talking about.
I think you're well answered, right?
He well elaborated the Duale Bill
do you want to leave it?
2015.
Or we can defy to the audience. It's okay, you can defy to the audience.
Let the audience take charge.
Okay. You can hand it over to him.
Thank you very much. Now, that Duale Bill actually is a very big problem in the universities because I think it came at the time when we were just transitioning in the university. And the problem is the bill was created with the focus of an individual. And that is where we have a problem when we go to parliament and create legislation, but then we have in our mind we have a person instead of the law. At that time, there was the Babu Owino.
Babu Owino.
Babu Owino had taken real center stage in the control of university politics and taking the students to the streets to be able to oppose some of the things that were being done by government at the time. And so this bill was taken there particularly to deal with Babu. Funny enough, after the bill was passed, Babu stopped vying. So the bill never even dealt with Babu. It then went and started dealing with the student leaders. But then here is where I think the solution comes in. There was an agitation by the students at the time to try and reverse that. But then going forward, the student leadership has been very docile in dealing with this matter. So student leaders, and I think part of the problem is because of what they created. So these student leaders today don't talk about it. They have become comfortable with it. So that is why it's not a matter that even Joachim knows about, because the conversation around it went and died down somewhere. So I think the only way to solve that problem is the students and the student leadership and the young people must come back again and start agitating around that. Because today now, it is very hard to say you can really find real politicians who will come from the student leadership. Because now we are having boardroom engagements producing student leadership. And then when you come to the people, the politics must produce the student leader. And therefore, what does that do? The student leader becomes a frustrated person. Because then they come out of a university where they were very important. And when they land here, no one knows them. And then they start eating depression. So it is something that really must be able to be changed. I think so.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is David. I'll say two things. Number one, I work for an organization that deals with youth. So youth, I kind of know you. It's called the KoaMedia Foundation. Just Google it up. I'm one of the directors, so you'll be able to see it. This lady said a very important thing. There's a day I was driving, listen to her very well, especially youth. I was driving from Homa Bay, and I gave a lift to an elderly man, and he asked me, can I trust these kids? So in as much as you agitate for leadership, the elderly who are going to also vote have very many questions about you. On to my question. I think it's painful when you are in Kenya. I'm blessed I've traveled. I'll give an example. I can walk from North Dalston Junction in North London, in central London, right, to where I stay in Clapton. At 3 a.m., I'm well secure. The lights up to the other end. Only cops will pass, and it's 4 a.m. At the traffic lights, cars will stop by themselves. Nobody has to prompt them. Sadly, at the organization where I work, we hold forums like this, and the first person to stand is a youth leader, and they'll say, we don't need money. No, I'm rich, I don't need money, I'm going to engage you. But when we end the conversation, they come to me and say, give us 1,000 shillings to go back home. This is an answer to a question where some of you are saying that you youth are different. You're not very different. I'm just being honest. I even looked at how you spoke to Mr. Widi here. You don't have to agree with someone. I don't agree with some of the things Jubilee Party did, 100%. But I respect the fact that you went to the arena. Two political parties as an institution. Where were we in 2022 after the elections? We saw Mr. Ruto, or President Ruto, desecrate the institution of political parties. He did not have a majority. What did he do? Independent parliamentarians and even members of Jubilee Party started disrespecting their own party going to the leading coalition. So if we ourselves can disrespect that, and we want to go into leadership, are we going to be different from the people in leadership? I work for an organization that it has also its political wing, but I hate politics. I was looking at Casmuel here. I joined the ODM party in 2005. When I was a very small, I've sat with Professor Nyang' Nyong'o and all those people to make those policies. I prefer to be in the background. So when I see you youth, I've benefited from politics. I've traveled because of politics. You can benefit, but you are very cheap. I saw this young man sloganeering here for Babu Owino. I'll tell you this. When the nation was against Babu, I was for Babu. I'm a Kisumu boy. I was for Babu. Why? I said the fight they had with the DJ was personal. If they're forgiven each other, it should end there. But what's the difference with your sloganeering for Babu now with the people who voted for Sakaja because of a dimple? What's the difference?
They voted for Sakaja because of a dimple.
You're being drawn into, I feel a lot of pain. And I conclude, let me just conclude because I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
I think the Romans got the right thing for leadership. They tried all forms of leadership. And I don't speak from privilege, but I say this. My single vote should never be equal to someone in the village. Because you look at these developed countries, and they have a select group of people who think on behalf of the country. When I walk through the London Underground, I'm breathing, life is there at a thing that was built 100 plus years ago. Then Kenya, you're happy for wheelbarrows? We've lowered the standards of our lives to. The things that excite us are very sad. But I will also tell you, whenever we try, Owidi comes from Homa Bay, where our organization works. The director is also in the UK. We are building renovating the first child protection unit. Whenever a girl is raped in Homa Bay, especially the area of Oyugis, they are confined in a police cell. Next is the person who raped them. So the former OCS was Mrs. Namaswa. She approached us. We went and renovated the area. Do you know a question, we were there in March. Do you know a question where somebody asked me when we were renovating? Translation, we are done. What am I going home with? They do not see that these kids who are being raped, they need protection from the people who are raping them. He wants his 200 shillings to go home with. And if you don't give them,
thank you.
They
I
don't
think to underscore your question, basically you're asking about the value system because
the institution.
The value system and the institution. Whitney is well traveled across Africa. You must have seen different perspectives. I'm not as traveled. You must have seen something that is either eloquent or very beautiful in another country that is different here, especially on the question of value system. Because if I get what he's saying about London and also what he's saying about the institutions there and what is happening here, then we can have a contrast side by side. And then maybe you can tell us what's happening in the countries you've traveled in Africa. Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference. I think I'll give an example of Burkina Faso, where the president is visionary and also the people are patriots. So it starts from the common mwananchi. Patriotism starts from the common mwananchi. The values you instill and build in children as they grow up. And culture, because you cannot just build children from nowhere, from the blue. There's no culture instilled in children. Children are growing up, coping with cultures from different areas and not being firm in their beliefs. There's no patriotism, there's no respect, there's no discipline. And then you expect someone to grow up, and then from nowhere, when they are 25 or 30, you want to instill discipline, accountability in them. It's not possible. So at the end of the day, it starts at home, how you grow up these children, and the schools, what we teach them. Do we teach them patriotism, civic education? Are they aware of their surroundings and what's happening in the country? I think that's where we've gone wrong as a country. But also they say a fish rots from the head. So if the parents, there's a generation, or let's say the head of institutions are rotten and not exemplary to the wananchi, then what do you expect the child to emulate? They grow up knowing corruption is okay, and being given maybe handouts or wheelbarrows or petty cash is leadership. If today I went to Homa Bay and gave out 100 shillings each, I'll be voted governor or women rep. Why? Because that is the standard you set for our children and for the generation that is coming. So at the end of the day, it is civic education, patriotism, discipline, and culture.
Do you believe, Whitney, that whatever we are doing through these forums could help shape this question that is asking about the value system? Because, of course, there's a media rhetoric whenever politicians go out there. The media covers that. And I agree with Kasmuel completely that there's lazy journalism in Kenya because most of the time the media is lazy. They don't do research. They just armchair journalism, okay? Are you saying that whatever we are doing, and maybe something else that you recommend, that when is adopted by these people here and amplified outside there can help change that value system?
Yes, it's true. And actually one of the most important, I've done a book that I'm almost launching on national patriotism in Kenya. If you go to Uganda, if you go to Rwanda, if you go to Traore is doing the same, where we have developed a syllabus for national patriotism that is being taught from a child as young as 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, up to university. We are instilling discipline in our children for them to grow up knowing that being disciplined, accountable, and just obeying the rules of the land and being able to contribute to your country and love for the country. Because if you love your country, you will not take 100 shillings corruption for a health system that is not working. You will be concerned. You will hold your leaders accountable. It's just one governor or one member of parliament that you can manage as a people. So if you're serious, you want to be bought to do or to be part of in disciplining the country. You understand? So at the end of the day, what we are doing here is very important, because then these are the brightest brains we have in Kenya, the sharp people, the people who mean well for the country. If we disseminate the information downstream, as we go talking to the youth and continue with this, then we are going to build up a system that we'll be proud of maybe 20 years to come. It has started small, it looks like a joke, but if we continue and build it up, then this is something that is very serious and that can lead the country to something that we'll be proud of in the next years to come.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just before, I want to ask a random question to the audience. How many of us are proud to be Kenyans? By a show of hands. How many of us are embarrassed to be a Kenyan?
We are proud and embarrassed at the same time.
You're proud and embarrassed at the same time. How many of us are proud, at least that the leadership as current is doing something?
Even Mondalo is not proud.
How many of us think that we can actually do better without tipping to the violent side? Joachim, you don't believe that? You don't believe that we can achieve things through peace?
You ask the audience.
Okay.
So there's a point the gentleman had where he talked about the power of his vote compared to that of someone in the village. And I think we should expound on that. Because if you look at the Asian countries, the Japan, the Chinese, Malaysia and all this, if you look at study their political systems, and this is what I'm going to implement in DNA Party. What they have within their parties is a central committee. This central committee is not made up of the party leader and someone else that was handpicked, but it is made up of even a political people, from professionals, engineers, doctors, and these are people who sit and decide the leadership of the party. So that when you provide the leaders to the people, you've already filtered the quality of leadership. Because if Jagero, who is a millionaire, is offered 1 million shillings, he will not take it. But if you offer that, and that's why, to the point of Ms. Alionia, that when the president calls for people to be given wheelbarrows, they'll always show up. He's taking advantage of their poverty.
Yes.
So it cannot, with poverty, you cannot have real democracy. And I agree with him to some level, that the power of the vote, even though we can't communicate it, to your point about communication, that way, within parties, we need to have infrastructure, systems that allows for true leaders to be sifted and then to be offered to the public.
Right, that brings me to a question.
Yes.
Allow me. I said I didn't want to ask questions, but that brings me to a question. I really love the idea you and him are sharing, and yesterday I was sharing with Jagero on our recording, that there is that bit of the Asian system of governance where we don't go for democracy. As much as it's democratic, but it's not for the people. Because not everybody has the equal faculty to make the best decision for the country. Then you give them an equal chance to make a decision as you who is going to school. There's a problem there. But that brings me to the question of, is the problem then the political leaders? Because if you say, for example, today, that it's only a few of us who are going to decide on behalf of the country. Where's that guy? No, you. Yeah, yourself. You will decide that with the DNA party, you also want an equal voice at the table. But we are saying, this system has worked in Asia. We can adopt it here. But people like you will be the same people who will be going against the same desire. Because your end is not towards good governance. Your end is taking power and enriching yourselves.
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's why, for me, everything has to be contextualized, right? What I'll propose and what I'll be instituting in DNA is that the Central Committee is able to select at least 3 candidates who are then offered to the national delegates. Now, you open it up to a democratic process. So it's a blend. You've sifted through, you've selected 3 candidates, then the delegates get to choose, then those candidates are presented to the public. If each party does that, you will have the best presidential candidates because they'll be filtered through parties with people who decide here rather than here.
The parties filter. ODM, for example, which where Kasimo comes from, filters leaders. For example, it filtered Anyang' Nyong'o for the governor of Kisumu. In his 8 years of reign, it's been useless, to be quite genuine. There's nothing that has happened there. But he's an actual professor. And I'm simply trying to ask, this sifting formula, does it then work if it is moved away from the party leader? Or how do we go about it? Because Kenya is full of nonsense. How are we going to tackle this?
Yeah, let me explain. So in Anyang' Nyong'o's case, he was filtered by veto power of maybe the party leader.
Yes.
He was endorsed, blessed, and given a direct ticket. And so many people have had that in ODM and even other parties. What we are proposing is there is a central committee made up of 100 people. These 100 people are representation of each, let's pick the 47 counties. Each county to nominate 2 people within the party system who sit on the central committee. These people then nominate 3 candidates to be considered by the delegates, including the party leadership. So the party leadership is not given to the person who finances the party. If you go to ODM right now, trust me, you cannot go against Raila. Whatever you say, wherever you go up or come down, if you go to UDA, it is because he bankrolls the party. So give the power back to the people. Now, the people are these central committee that pick candidates. You get 3, you then pick with the delegates, and then you present them to the public. Now, the general public can participate in a democratic process.
Sounds very idealistic to me. How many agree? Sounds very idealistic to me.
It's realistic.
It works.
Who wants to speak? No, not you. You've talked. Somebody else, not you. I want somebody else. Give it. You will not. I don't trust you. So I want somebody else. There's this gentleman. Okay, yeah, this guy.
It's not idealistic in a certain sense. That is how actually communism works.
Yeah.
Communism prides itself in actually choosing competent people. So what happens, that party always has a certain committee of very competent people, from engineers and everyone from every sector. So what happens, these people are always given a task of choosing someone who is going to maybe lead a certain industry or maybe a certain agency. Then this person is also proposed to the public, whereby the public gets to know about the information about this person. Then, of course, the supreme leader. The only shortfall with communism is that, there is a person on top there, the dictatorship when it comes to communism. So that person can also decide not to go with that person. But the central committee must always pick the person who's very competent, who is supposed to be presented into the public. And I guess that is a very good idea. And while he's also highlighting that issue, I think one thing that we should also be critical, the reason why I also don't like ODM in Nyanza, I have no problem with anyone supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. You can support Raila Odinga as a national leader to vie as a president. But the problem is, what is the party democracy for me when it comes to choosing an MP in my local area? Because I'm more critical of an MCA who's going to be passing a certain policy at the county assembly, rather than Raila, whom I'm not going to be seeing for the rest of my life. But if I'm going to be criticizing this person, or if I'm going to be preferring someone who's maybe more competent, but the leader overrides this decision, then there is no party democracy. That is the problem we've been having with ODM. So we need to see that action of party democracy, whereby people can freely choose any leader.
I think.
Thank you.
I think all this boils down to a bigger problem of everyone using whatever it is to get money out of it. Because you could be very competent, but how fiki bei ya huyu?
The party leader.
Yes, there is a candidate who has a deeper pocket. So at the end of the day, we get people with the deeper pockets to lead us. You see, even you see the questions we're asking. If, for example, Maraga says, "I want to be president." What's the first question? Do you have money? You understand? We have forgotten about what can he do as a president. We are thinking about, does he have money to give people? What does he need money for? So that people can get as
handouts. If it's an issue of financing his campaign, then why do you have a headache for a problem that is not yours? It's for Maragas. So the issue of institutions, I think the institutions of a country are only as good as the political party that is in power. Because when you go to the headquarters of a political party that is in power, and you find an abandoned building, the party leader doesn't go there, the chairman of the party does not hold their meetings there, even the secretary general, it's a year he's never stepped there, then what do you expect from that political party to engineer a system where institutions work? Because that political party mirrors the institutions. We need parties, a party that has a policy lead in agriculture, they have an office at the headquarters, policy lead in education, and that's what they implement for the people because they are the ones in power. If we look around this country, who is in charge of what in the political party that is in power? And again, the institutions are only as good as the people in it. If you have EACC, that is charged with the responsibility of fighting corruption. The person in charge of EACC was appointed by the president. And in a fight against corruption, there is this perception that the president will be a victim. So how does this institution fight its employer? You see, that's where the problem comes in, that you are a police officer, like the case of Ojuang, where you have to do investigation, and the person you report to is actually a complainant in the case. So how do you get justice? That's where we say institutions have a problem. And I think the best way is, and I don't know, this is going to be very complex because the reason why I keep talking about economy is because it's a solution to so many things. If you have to do anything in this country, if you have money, you're going to get through with it. Because people have a problem of money. People like, for example, they went to State House, not because they love President Ruto. They don't even want to see him. But they are sure they will not get out of that place empty-handed. And so when you address the issue of poverty and people having something in their pocket, there will be no these theatrics. People will be forced to offer substance rather than these petty things.
So your point is that Kenyans are still reasoning from their stomachs. They're thinking with their stomachs. They're not their head.
Look at what the government keeps saying. Kiwauliza mmefanya nini? What is the answer? Bei ya unga imeshuka. You have to be thinking about your stomach.
Joachim. Let me bring the conversation back to the audience. Yes. Give the mic here to Miss Roberta first. Here, yes.
Hi, everyone. My question is...
You have to stand.
I have to stand?
Yes, you have to stand.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. This is Roberta Bobby, people, everybody.
Hi, everybody. My name is Roberta. And my question is just kuendeleza what you asked, Mr. Let me stand here.
Why are you disturbing?
Mr. Joachim. So, listening to you speak about the economy and the poverty and venye hizi mashida zetu na pesa ndio solution ya most of these problems that are coming up. So do you think that the poverty is being engineered intentionally then? Do you think we're in this spot intentionally so that we become very, very powerless, we're unable to make sane decisions? The first thing we're thinking about is, I can't even afford a meal, so I'm going to go run and, say two-term or whatever. So do you think this is being engineered intentionally? Thank you.
Actually,
you're going to answer that.
Yeah.
Let me take question 2 from this wing. Question 2 to be very fair. Yes.
Okay, my name's Moses Gitao, but I'm a student at Cooperative University pursuing bachelor's in computer science, and I work with Kikao. There's a certain lady here mwenye anashinda akisema ametoka kwa chama kubwa. I don't know what's that. Yeah, I wanted to address her. She said that
Uongezewe mshahara juu sasa.
Yeah?
Chembe.
Hapana. Nataka nimuulize kwa sababu amesema tukiwa hapa. Mimi ni Gen Z.
This is within the confines of tribe, communication and the state institutions.
Oh, if it's within that.
Okay, let me give you the leeway, but the next person asking must confine themselves.
It's fine. I've heard her say that people went to State House and wakapewa pikipiki wakatoka, and it's so bad. How do you even ask why people are going to State House? Ni tax yao. Si waende wakule kenye wamepewa basi kwa sababu people are frustrated. Watu wakisikia wanaenda kupewa 1,000 shilling wataenda wachukue. And furthermore, let me tell you, waliendea pikipiki na they still chant wakitoka Ruto must go. Na wakaacha huko wamechafua kile uchafu yote huko. You don't have to come give us answers zenye they are not making sense. We are talking about accountability and transparency. Mambo ya chama, ODM, sijui my friend here speaking, chama yake ndi imewin. That is not what Gen Zs want to hear. Sisi tunataka solutions. Tuambie tukitoka shule tunapata job. Tuambie sahi tukitoka hapa sahi, it's funny enough tunaongea mambo ya Kasmuel hapa amefanya mbaya. Lakini naona mnatoka na yeye kila mtu aende apigwe picha. That is not being realistic at all. Yes, that was my point actually. Yes.
I think you've observed. You don't need to respond, right?
Yeah.
That's just an observation. It's fine.
In response to...
Just wait. You want to respond? Just in 1 minute. One line like tap.
I think Gen Zs are the problem. You know, you not... Nyamaza kwanza, let me land my point. We cannot have that mindset na tukue tunataka leadership. You know, my context when I was giving that example is, if truly you say Ruto must go, when he calls you to State House to give you a motorcycle, don't go. Everyone should not go. He will call another meeting in Kakamega, nobody goes. He will call another meeting in Nyamira, nobody goes. What will be ringing in his mind? But let me tell you, for us to say that we want accountable leaders, we must tell them that we know you have stolen money to buy that motorcycle for us. We are not coming to take that motorcycle. It will start making sense.
Thank you.
And then another point, I have always told the Gen Zs, join political parties. Yeah? I am not forcing anyone to ODM. He can join DCP. He can join any other party. But we are not going to win political war on the streets. And let me give you one evidence. We are going to buy elections in November. Sini ukweli. Hata hapa tu sijui ni constituency gani hapa Nairobi. I am from Mbuni North where people are contesting. I have only seen an individual from Wiper. I have seen an individual from UDA. I have not seen an individual when youths wanasema, mimi junimona Alionya kipigania hii, I want Alionya to be the MCA of Mbuni North. So we cannot have double standards when it comes to political parties. ODM is bad to you, yes. Join DCP, join Sifuna Party, Safina Party.
Thank you. Let me...
I don't want this question.
As Joachim responds to this question, not yet, I'll give somebody there first before I come to you. Okay, so you have to wait. That's fine. Before Joachim responds to this question, listen here. What's your name again? What's your name? Alionya. Let me tell you something. And because you'll allow me, only if you allow me, to inform you, that there's something that happens in politics which you cannot run away from. The first thing is that the primary instinct of any human being is survival, before anything else. So when you are ruling over people who are poor, not because of your own making, it could be accumulated suffering. It is also true that these people will not refuse to come, okay? And one of the questions we're trying to solve by holding these conversations is, how can we ensure that we solve the questions which are making these people go there for tokenism, okay? So also be alive to the fact that even as you discuss, don't be very idealistic. Straddle the middle ground. For this reason, that as you move into politics, which you're getting into, you're going to meet reality that is shocking. We've been there. And I'm just sharing as a point of wisdom, I'm not trying to pontificate about anything, okay? That's the point of information I'm trying to give. Please respond to her.
The issue of poverty being intentionally engineered, it's very true. Because when you lead poor people, you get less opposition. and actually leading hopeless people. They don't ask a lot of questions. They don't pay attention to things that you are doing because they are busy looking for the next meal. When you bring access to credit to people, and people can manage their lives without needing you, you lose power over them. So you have to make them dependent on you. You know that for you to get a good job, you must be close to some politician. That even a bursary is dished out in funerals by a member of parliament. That if you are not in good terms with that member of parliament, you risk your child not getting to school. So even if he's bad, and my friend here has talked about survival. Survival comes first. That I don't like Roberta, but she's a member of parliament and she has bursary. Let me pretend. And by so doing, you'll be perpetuating their rule. That's how they survive. When you bring resources close to people, they be empowered by themselves. That's why I don't know why I'm using this word empowerment. I don't like it. I love, like, people being self-reliant. You don't have to go to State House to afford a trolley of mayai. You know, kama ni lazima uende State House ndo ununue kitu ya 5,000, then the situation is so bad. You see? That should be something that you do it for your own. Even someone who has never seen an MCA, anaweza jifanyia huko. But they have to do that. And that's why we are talking about the issue of domestic borrowing by government. When the government borrows a lot from, because when they borrow domestically, what are they borrowing? They are borrowing our savings from the banks. A saving that you and me should go and take as a loan to boost our business, and the money will circulate because you have your house girl, you will pay her well, you will buy things around here, money will circulate and people will be self-reliant and they will mount an opposition against government if they do things that are not good.
Allow me to take the mic to Mheshimiwa Ogindo. I want to ask Mheshimiwa Ogindo one question. Please, Mheshimiwa Ogindo is the former MP for Rangwe constituency. Clap for him, please. That's a man who was served by swearing by the Bible. Mr. Ogindo is also, Honorable Ogindo is also one of the leaders who sat and oversaw the budget committee back then in between 2008 and 2012.
Madam Teller.
I want to ask you, Honorable Ogindo, when you were overseeing this committee in Parliament, we realized or we witnessed banks were actually selling loans. They would come to offices, something that was not there in Moi's regime. Banks were having a lot of money to give to people. They would even buy loans from other banks. Was this because during your time, President Mwai Kibaki refused to borrow from the domestic market and therefore placed money in the pockets of the people? Or was it a question of policies that you implemented in Parliament then? Kindly help us with that. We are here to learn.
Thank you, Brian. And today I came to listen. And I wanted to listen and listen good. And you've asked me a very big question to which I cannot give a simple answer. And I know it's been a long day. So if by vote I get 3 minutes, then I can respond.
3 minutes you have.
For you to understand the borrowing in a country, you need to understand the global financial architecture. The way we stand today, globally, all the world economies are indebted to the tune of $300 trillion. Kenya is indebted to the tune of 11, that is public debt. Yes. Corporations in Kenya are also indebted. Individuals here are also indebted. All those put together are debts. And the person that is dictating the way debts run in the world is not Kenyans. You need to understand the evolution of money. And today, money has evolved until we have fiat currency. We are running on fiat currency. I know the evolution has got beyond that.
What is fiat currency?
The note that you have in your pocket. And it means money that is not backed by anything, money that comes from outside the printer, that is switched on by the central bank or the Fed bank. And the borrowing of a country is regulated by laws. The reason why people borrow subsequently is because the laws restricting have been changed. When I was the budget committee, we had a cap in borrowing by law, and it was in amount. That was changed. Today, it is something dancing called a percentage of the GDP. That's something that is dances that you cannot pin down. And during Kibaki regime, when we were there, the parliament was strong enough to tell the executive, no, we are not opening the limit of borrowing. Today, there's no limit. So that is why, and because there's no limit, the most rewarding business you can do is the selling of money. It's the oldest business, if you remember the usury. So the selling money is more profitable if you sell it to government. And that is why banks sell it to government. But the tricky thing that you cannot understand is that how do we borrow? We borrow from the open market. The open market, the person who has money there are the banks. So they borrow by what is called treasury bills or bonds. When it is a bill, it is 1 year. When it is a bond, it is more than 1 year. And once the bank the banks lend, because the government is borrowing, then there is no money left for the people. So during Kibaki, we didn't allow the banks to lend government. So they were stranded with money. That is how they were hawking loans in the streets. It could take long. I thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, don't you guys agree that maybe we would have needed another session to just understand finance from...
Yes, I think we should do finance.
Because there's something here that is common sense. Joachim was trying to bring it out on the issue of how don't we have money?
That's the biggest issue.
So it means that Parliament could be the biggest problem we're having here.
That's why I said we occupy their houses.
You are violent. That's the
Because I know that's where the problem is.
You know the challenge.
Nationalism.
The challenge we have with Joachim is that he's violent. He wants to go and in Parliament. There was a question here. Because we have 10 minutes to go. There's a question here. The man in blue shirt, then the man in green. Yours is green.
Mia ninyi wote. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Patrick, taenda kuongea Kiswahili. I think yangu sio question. Kwa mtazamo wangu mimi naona ile kitu yenye tumekosa ni viongozi wetu pia hawapendi nchi yao. Wanapenda kutumia wananchi vile wanaona. Hiyo chama nimesikia kitajwa hapa, chama kubwa. Mimi huita chama cha briefcase. Kwa sababu hicho chama mimi nilishuka hiyo kari 2017. Wakati niliona hicho chama ndio kinatumia Wakenya vibaya. Kinatumia Wakenya kupakeni. Hakuna vile mwanasiasa anaweza kuja atuambie eti anakupigania wewe na kumbe anapagain na mwenzake. Papa alikuja akatuambia hii serikali ya Uhuru ni mbaya. Nitaanzia tu kwa Uhuru. Serikali ya Uhuru ni mbaya. Na pia hata mimi nikaona hiyo serikali ilikuwa inaendeshwa vibaya. Wakati aliingia ikakuwa mzuri. Sasa tunashindwa Raila ndio solution ama Raila ndio shida. Tukakuja akasema Ruto ni mbaya. Hata umpea 100 years hawezi rekebisha nchi. Atina akasema Ruto ni mwizi. Akakuja akashikana na Ruto. Ataka niambie ndugu yangu yule alikuwa hapa, yule alikuwa anasema chama kubwa na huyo dada yangu. ODM kama utakuja kusimama nayo hizi siku tunaenda hizi, utakuwa unaenda kuanguka. Kwa sababu Gen Z walikuwa wanapigania maisha bora na ile ilikuwa inasema finance bill. Wakati ndugu yangu yule amekuwa hapa, aliona yeye akatandia kama ile gari ya kutandia tu kama una fare. Akaingia huko. That is why Gen Z waliona ni kama amewasaliti. Na ni very dangerous kwake kwa sababu imechukua kwa njia nyingine, sisi tunaangalia ni kama msaliti. Ukimpea uongozi ataendesha ache wenzake. Ni hayo tu.
Asante sana. Makofi kwa kijana.
Thank you very much.
Question or comment?
Question of course to the panelists. I think to tribalists in tribal politics actually. Okay. Kelvin Mwachi, for purposes of this congregation, let me just say I'm a member of Bunge la Mwananchi. We are mourning together with Joachim for the loss. But anyway, I'll go straight to my question. You realize that currently in our country, I don't know how we should find a solution to this particular problem. And the problem is that currently when you talk about political parties, when you say for the Kenya, then the mind straight away runs to Bungoma. When you say Wiper, then it goes to Kambani. The so-called chama kubwa, I dare say, in the next few days, when it will be mentioned, it will take you somewhere in the corner of the lake. So my question is, and before I pose the question, if you want to join politics and aspire to go to parliament, to join for purposes of winning the seat and not just for purposes of being in the game, you will have first of all to establish your grounding. Where are your supporters? And I'm being fair because I'm supposed to say, where are my tribesmen? And probably that's why Mr. Joachim is still not sure whether it's Bungoma or Nairobi, which constituency, because maybe he's thinking, Wabukusu wako upande gani? Maybe. Yes, maybe. So my question actually is, you as our panelists, yes, kindly, because some of us will wish to participate in elective politics in the future, kindly help us. How do we eradicate this problem of tribal politics such that I as a lawyer can still contest in Bungoma? Although Bungoma is quite liberal, but there are some places that you cannot just go there with a party that probably appeals to your ideology, but because you are not a member of, I'm not a Mukamba from Mukambani, maybe Wiper appeals to me, I can't take it to my people wherever. You know, the Gen Zs had a very good idea when they brought their demonstrations. First of all, they said that they were tribalists, and that's a good thing. They say they were morphers. I don't know what that one means. They were something. They had a lot of less things. But there's something that I think they missed the point. They said they are leaderless. Now, leaderless people don't sit with the leaders. You are not able to present your issue, your petitions to authorities if you have no leaders. I think that's where they missed the point. Thank you.
Question. I want to allow me
submitting petitions to leaders.
Because it is exactly 5 minutes to go. I want to give this gentleman to ask his question, the one in suit, that smartly dressed gentleman. Then I'll give a lady the last chance. You two have talked, for fairness. Let's give it like that, right? A lady, final lady? Oh, there's a lady there. Then we shall have finished the questions. Then we come back here. Please.
Well, thank you. My name is Gombe Tomboya. Yes. I work with the Wezesha Youth Initiative. My role is to enhance partnership and linkages so that we make sure that our youth affairs are well catered for. Under that, we do political education under Masters or CG educators, and I'm also here to represent them. I wanted to speak, especially during the first session, but I missed the chance. I hope I'll ask the questions that I wanted to ask. Also about the current topic of discussion, tribal politics. I have this to say. Naturally, there is nothing wrong with being tribal. What I mean is this: you get out, you are walking, and you are hungry, and food is being given. There are many people holding the food, and you want to go and get food from there. You find someone that you know very well, and that person knows you. Where will you go? You will most probably go hoping that this person, we've developed even some trust. He will be able to see me and give me the food first. So to me, and naturally even everywhere you are, you'll always be aligned to someone you know or someone who you share blood with. So that is not a problem. Politicians were wise. They understood how to manage psychology of the people and to use it to their advantage. Every time they want to get what they need, they must always remind us of where we come from so that we all align to them. So to me, there is nothing wrong with being tribal, and especially supporting a person who comes from where you come from. But indeed, there is no problem of tribes in this country. When we came here, so far we've not known who is from where. It is not a problem where we are currently. So generally, tribes is not an issue. Then what I want to talk about...
Question.
Yes, I want to ask questions. Yes, and I noted them so that I'm fair.
2 questions maximum. Shoot.
Well, I'm starting with you. Yes. What is the role of Constitution to the custodian of authority? You are the custodian. For example, a president or a father in a house anywhere. Yeah, what is the role of Constitution? And allow me also to ask advice. Unfortunately, he is not here. I'll continue to ask you again. What is the realistic way or the practical way to ensure that Kenyans meet quality health, they get quality food, and meet a sustainable living? Because generally, that is why we are here. There is nothing more. We've just been talking about politics issues.
Thank you.
Our aim always is to make sure that we are living good and sustainably, not asking yourself, where will I get the food for tomorrow? So that is something that I really would like us to answer.
I will respond.
Yes, finally, let me just say this.
Yes.
I can ask the general audience here. Right. Do you think the Constitution is being applied fairly? That is food for thought. Okay. As I go, a solution that I think that we need is... okay. What I believe is that the Constitution was written fairly to everyone. But we are lacking a leadership that is implementing it fully. And to me, what I believe that will help Kenya achieve these things that we want, we need a leader who is committed to constitutionalism. And I believe the person who is going to do that is Okia Omtata. And I'm supporting him. And I ask Kenyans of like mind to line behind him. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady, give the lady. Shoot your question straight.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, my name is Faith Gakuo. I don't have a question, but a comment and to say thank you for this platform. A lot of us youth, we have voice, but we lack platform. Today I wasn't supposed to talk. I was here to learn. But my question is, it's not the question, but a concern. Like, we as youth, are we sure we will enable our youth, one of our youth, like, hata kama tuna disagree, we agree to disagree. Because hata tunachapana si wenyewe na tunaweza kaa chini nikwambia your perception is not okay, ili at least to win the trust of our parents and even to go in a position our parents can trust us with this nation. Thank you so much for this platform and
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't think if I'm going to have the chance to, unfortunately, take another question from the audience. We are going to continue this conversation online. At this moment, I want to bring it back to the panelists and give them 2 minutes each so that we finalize by answering the questions that were asked. Then we close it and call it a day for today. Is that fair enough? Is that fair enough? Yes. Thank you. So we start with you.
Me, I think my conclusive remarks is next time we should discuss finance and economics, because as you can see, all these things boil down to finance, economics, and accountability. And I'm happy with our former Honorable Member of Parliament for him to be able to break down for us the whole financial history and architecture. And our demand and our representation as Africans at the global platforms and stage to negotiate even for the debt rates, where we don't even have debt negotiation policies. We just borrow and borrow and borrow, and terms and conditions are dictated. We don't have full representations at the special drawing rights. And so all these things, even when we have emergencies, how much percentage is given to Africa? And how much percentage are we able to bargain? Because we don't have proper representation. So it's important for us to learn to know all the financial history, and also our bank, the Africa Development Bank, for us as African leaders to support the bank, invest in the bank that means well for Africa. He talked about agriculture, health. Who is able to finance all these things? It is the Africa Development Bank. If we're able to support our bank, that means well for the continent and means well for the common wananchi of African people. So our next discussion should really focus on finance, on economics, for our people to understand all these things. Because at the end of the day, you might fight for what you don't know. You don't know what you're fighting for, just a heckler. So we need to understand all this architecture. And at the end of the day, mimi nawaambia tu, tupende nchi yetu, we be patriots. Even as we are doing certain things, the country should come first. So you must always, always, always protect your country. Everything you're doing, there's no other country. You cannot go to South Sudan, you cannot go to Rwanda, I don't know. This is our country, this is where we were born. So whatever we are doing, it is for the benefit, for the goodwill, and for patriotism, and for the love of the country. Those are my closing
remarks. Round of applause for this eloquent lady. Makofi mzito vizuri. Thank you so much. And thank you for your opinions and the information you shared with us. Of course, we've learned a lot. And I believe you've gained something, right? Yes. Bonaparte, party man.
So I'll say 2 things. One, Honorable MP, former MP Rangwe, if you remember, when we started this journey, part of our team of young people who came and met you at the University of Nairobi. And what we wanted to learn from him then is how do you enter politics with the realization that you don't have money, which is the problem that many people here have. When the gentleman mentioned Okia, I know we have our perception of Okia. Everyone says,
So again, back to you with your conscience. What do you want in a leader? Is it about the money? When we talked about Maraga not having money, what is it really about that you want in a leader? And also for you individually, if you want to get involved in politics, what do you have to do to get involved? Do you have that education? That's another conversation that I believe we should have going forward. The other bit is about political parties and solving the tribal problem. When you think about Ford Kenya and you think Luya, when you think about, actually in some cases, like some parties, I don't want to name names, the party leader, secretary general, and deputy party leader come from the same village. So that becomes because we've used parties as vehicles to bring about a tribe and then negotiate for power. Where I come from, Luya land, we have the Bukusus with their own party, the others with their own party, and the Maragolis with their own party. as I've gotten into party politics myself, because the reason why I got into party politics is because I want to have influence in setting up institutions within political parties. And if in 1 year's time, I come back to you and we're having the same conversation, I will probably be out of a political party. Because if it doesn't make sense, we have then to create our own solutions. This thing of saying chama kubwa, I swear to God, there's no change that will come through those chama kubwas. It can't, because you can't expect a mango from a coconut. It cannot happen. Do you know the way they behave? You've seen it, but you have your willful ignorance and say, I can change things. You cannot change those things. Because first, you don't have the power. Two, you are an individual. You're not a system. So lastly, I'll mention that for me and the group that I work with in Kikao, and the reason why we decided to join DNA, is we had an opportunity for meaningful engagement. And we told them, already you have a perception that you're a Luya party. Secondly, you're being linked to a gentleman called Musalia Mudavadi. So we want to know two things. One, we will join that National Executive Council. We'll have a variety. We have a Kikuyu, a Kalenjin, a Luya, a Luo. And two, all those delegates will have to be you people. Because the power in a party is the one, first of all, who controls the purse and who controls the delegates, starting with the neck to the secretariat to the delegates. If you're within a party where the delegates think or are aligned to how you think, then you're in a party that can transform our nation. And that's why I'll invite you to the DNA party. Join, because from you are leaders who can run for office. We will support you. From you are leaders who can become delegates, those who don't want to vie. We will support you. You get to choose your own president. If you want Okia, if you want Raila, if you decide you want Kasmuel, if you decide you want or Simiyu, you have that opportunity. So thank you so much for this conversation. I look forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Round of applause to him as well. He's done excellently well. And thank you, of course, for coming to the table when we were thinking about doing this and putting in some little, we have to declare something little. We also removed, and we thank you for that. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Yes, mkubwa.
Sijakuwa mkubwa bana. I just wanted to tell us, why are we in the position that we are today? And why are we making noise about William? Does it end when Ruto goes? Doesn't end there. And who is the alternative? Should we come back here and complain about the same issues under a different president? We should not do that. So, in your own mind, that favorite presidential candidate that you have, what can he do differently? Because we've all agreed that President Ruto has done enough. We want to thank him greatly. and give him a befitting send-off. He's done so much. He has done the biggest job God gave him to do. And that job was to awaken, for you to know that the leader you choose affects your life directly. Some of us used to think that, I can't wake up in the morning going to choose someone, because you have a job, you've been given a loan, you are driving, you think you are immune to some problems. But with Ruto as president, the button of suffering was pressed, and he has distributed suffering equally. So for that reason, he will go. So the next president, next time I will tell you who I am rooting for. But today I'm telling you what we are rooting for.